Here's a story for you guys. When I first started going to the gym, I thought I was a machine. I thought I could do anything. After 6 months of hard training, bro splits, I thought I could handle anything. And then I was invited to a game of five-a-side football, and my reality was shattered. I was in a world of pain within 5 minutes. I was breathing out of every available hole on my body. I felt like life was coming to an end. And then there was the occasion when, still plugging away at the gym, but ignorance being the thing that fueled my training experience and the degree of superiority, I was over in Finland and I was working with my father, who built dry stone walls. And anyone who's constructed a dry stone wall knows that it is a prehistoric form of labour. It's basically lifting rocks all day and placing them on top of each other. And one shift with my father and I was snapped in two. I had entered Snap City, full passport, the lot, and I was exposed once more. My degree of conditioning was not up to scratch. However, I was led by the ignorance which had me thinking that weights was all I needed. Bodybuilding style training was all I needed to get fit. And then when I finally entered the realm of the burpee, when I did my first 25 burpees, I keeled over like a sack of shit. I was in a world of pain once more. My conditioning was non-existent, but the weights just intoxicates your sponge-like brain. The weights just makes you think that you can take on the world. When you realise that ultimately lifting weights for the purpose of aesthetics is beauty therapy at the most. In fact, I would say it's also the equivalent of a female getting lip filler nowadays. It's just all pump and fluff. Guys want to look a certain way because that is the way society works to a certain degree. If you ask me, it's very looks based. People like to look a certain way. It's very visual. We read very little nowadays. Everything's seen through the short format. However, that is a young man's folly, and I do not blame young guys for wanting to look a certain way and the road they pursue in order to achieve that goal. Ultimately, I did that as well. However, us older guys of a certain vintage, there comes a point where we have to think, right, looking a certain way, it probably doesn't carry the same impact it did in our 20s. We're kind of settled in our lives, we've probably got married, we're in a long-term relationship, and we need to focus on something more important, which is the conditioning side of things, because conditioning is going to dictate how you feel along with how you look. Now, to go on a slight ramble here, for me, building muscle, I love building muscle. It's built into my DNA. It's a way I will always train. I like the pursuit of building muscle. I am also aware to the idea that there's a degree of pointlessness to it. It means nothing in the grand scheme of things because it doesn't really enhance your life the way that a lot of these TikTok guys, a lot of these Instagram guys will portray, like as if being muscular is some degree of accomplishment. The road to getting muscular is the accomplishment, but becoming muscular it has no effect on your life unless you are making money from that pursuit. I see a lot of young guys that seem socially awkward nowadays. I don't know if it's the younger generation because they've been brought up with the internet in a certain way. Not like when I was younger, the internet was quite hard to access to a certain degree. There was no social media, whereas now that's the norm, and it's probably recalibrated people's brains in some respects. I see a lot of socially awkward guys come to the gym because they're thinking, right, I need to level up. I need to make myself more attractive to women. So if I become more muscular, then that is going to open the keys to the VIP lounge. And it doesn't materialise that way, because if there's one thing that I've picked up on is that there is no gym for your personality. The gym for your personality is social interaction. When you interact socially, that is when you develop the skills to become more attractive to a certain degree. Whereas the gym is not sharpening those skills, it's just a physical endeavour, but it's being portrayed as this all-encompassing activity which will improve your life in so many respects, and it doesn't work like that. You will always be socially awkward. Standing at a cable curl machine doing 25 bicep curls is not going to make you more attractive to the opposite sex. Becoming more humorous, becoming kind, learning to read social situations, learning to act comfortable in social situations are going to be more attractive in the long term. Standing at a cable curl, working your disco muscles is not going to make you more attractive to the opposite sex in the long term. I'm sorry, young guys, but that's just the way it is. It's going to make you feel good, but it's not going to change things overall. And the older you get in this game, the more you become aware of these things. And you start to prioritise the things that are actually important. And the things that are important to guys that are, say, above the age of 35 and onwards, and even younger bodybuilder types, noble natties or whatever you call them, is building a high level of conditioning. That is something that is definitely going to improve your life. And how is it going to improve your life? Well, it's going to improve your life in the sense that it's going to build the efficiency of the engine that operates your carcass. When I was growing up, there used to be a concept called a kit car. And like young guys, Neds for Glasgow, would buy like a fucking banger of a car, and they would do it up to look like something like a fucking Ferrari or a Sierra Cosworth at the time. But it was still the shitty car underneath the shell. And that is the road that focusing on purely building muscle will take you down. You'll become the kit car. You'll have the shell, which will look fantastic, but the engine is still a 1 litre Fiesta 98 brake horsepower shiter, as we would say in Glasgow. And if we focus on building the engine, then we are going to perform more effectively in many an endeavour. Now, try it yourself. If you are focusing purely on muscle, try something different for a change. Try 100 burpees and you will be exposed. Try a game of five-a-side football and you will be exposed. Go to a Muay Thai session and you will be exposed. There is no skirting around it. It is a complete eye-opener. So, why should conditioning be your priority? Well, conditioning gives you the best of both worlds in that respect, because if you can create a training system which is focused on hard conditioning, in which you use the barbells, in which you use the kettlebells, in which you use bodyweight exercise, not only are you going to improve your conditioning tenfold, however, you are also going to build some muscle. Now, you're not going to build muscle to the degrees of Dorian Yates or Ronnie Coleman or some IFBB Pro or whatever they call it. But you're going to build some muscle, and it's going to be muscle which is useful to a certain degree. It's going to be muscle which is working in conjunction with the engine that you are building. You also have to factor in as well that life is hard. Life is hard and the gym is easy. When you go and do the weights, you go in a recovered state, you're fresh, you're recovered. You walk into the gym and you start your first set. However, life doesn't really work like that. Shit tends to hit the fan when you are super tired. Shit tends to hit the fan when you least expect it. Which is why conditioning is more important, because the highly conditioned you are, the more you can work under that fatigued state, the more you can work under those stressful situations. Life isn't about getting 8 hours sleep, going for 30 minutes on a foam roller and getting a massage, then going to the gym and getting a squat PR. It doesn't work like that. So you need to build a body which is ready for anything at any given time, which conditioning does. So guys, if you are above a certain age, you need to prioritise conditioning over everything else. Everything else is just window dressing. It's a beauty therapy. It's lip filler. It's Botox. Conditioning though, conditioning is the essence. Conditioning creates the foundation on which gains are created. Conditioning is fertiliser for gains, particularly for the men of a certain vintage. So guys, if you are not in the conditioning train, I fully suggest you buy your return ticket, you wait at the platform, and you get on that fucking bad boy. You get on the conditioning train. Because a couple of months of hard conditioning in conjunction with however you train is going to change the game. It is going to fucking destroy the opposition. Go for it, guys. Get fucking conditioned. Do it for your family. Do it for yourself. Just get conditioned. Thanks for staying strong and thanks for staying conditioned.